Molten Core's easy, BWL's easy, but you're still going to be in a raid that gets screwed up at some point in time. Maybe it'll just be screwed up for you. Maybe there's going to be a big wipe. How do you avoid this shit? What kind of crap can you assign as a raid leader that makes certain categories of problem cease existing? I want to talk. This one's the one that's going to matter the most to the most people. Lucifron. There are 3 NPCs on the Lucifron fight. They can all cast mind control. The mind control can be purged, but people will instantly die when they get mind controlled in the melee stack and they start getting hit with cleaves. This is actually untrue. This is not true. Why isn't it true? It's because you can make a macro that is /target enemy player and then /cast in the name of whatever purge or dispel your class has. Rather you're a prot warrior even with shield slam. I've done that before when I had really stupid healers. Or you have priests or shamans with purge. What do? You give 2 or 3 healers the /target enemy player macro with the purge built into it, and they just hit that the entire fight. They do nothing else. And if you do this, people will get purged in like a 1/10 of a second. And so you'll never have anyone die on Lucifron ever again. What's the next thing people screw up? There's those dog packs. Usually it doesn't matter if you spread DPS on these dogs. Let's talk about what you do when you do fuck the dogs up. When you fuck the proverbial dog. It's easy. You had a respawn, right? So now, theoretically, the dog's health, it's not synced. What do? You just stop all DPS, dude. You stop 100% of DPS. You alleviate the chance of wiping by making sure the tanks are taking more damage rather than like maybe a Fury Warrior who's padding. So like you could tell tanks to taunt a few mobs. You stop all the DPS. You kill the mobs that then have very low health and let them respawn. Now your mobs all have high health. Okay, so the key to not wiping on respawning dogs is the second that you, as the raid leader or a tank or just an interested person in the raid, think that you're in big trouble, you stop all DPS. Okay, stop all DPS, make a decision about what to do with the mobs with differing amounts of health. Nice and easy. Okay, Magmadar, what'll kill you? He does a fear really early, like in the first 5 seconds of the fight. Your tank needs to fucking Death Wish on pull, okay? Or like pre-pop Berserker Rage. Something so that way when that fear goes out, the boss doesn't turn around and chomp one of your warriors to death. Most of the bosses in MC auto attack very low. This is not true of, let me think, Magmadar and Rag. Maybe Golemag, but you don't have to worry about somebody getting threat on Golemag. Cool. Next boss, we have Gehennas. You should FAP on the pull. It helps your uptime. But really, Gehennas is just about having people actually assigned to decurse. There needs to be people in the raid that know that you will personally be pissed off at them if they don't decurse. Otherwise, everyone's going to think other people will decurse. Okay, what about Gar? What do? If your tank has any avoidance gear that's tanking all the little guys, avoidance is fucking OP when you have a lot of little things hitting you. So maybe have whoever gets the ads use avoidance gear. Or if you're really scared, you're super boomer, you think your raid group really sucks, you know, it's fine to use banishes and assign a million off tanks on Gar. Sure, it's cringe. It'll make it so you won't parse. It's like kind of a lot to organize, but all you got to do is kill the ads in a place where the ads dying doesn't kill your DPS, because when an ad dies, it does a knockback that can send you all the way across the room. And it also does like 1,000 damage. Okay? Let's see. Now we're getting into the lava pack room. What's something about lava packs that people don't fucking realize? You know how they have the 2 lava elementals? They're the ones that look like Gar. Then they have, I think it's a flame walker and something else. They have the 2 fire ellies. The tiny fire ellie. It just randomly targets somebody and hits them for like 3,500. That's all it does. You don't even need to tank this mob, the small one, but you should kill it first. The big fire ellie on the lava packs does a frontal cone breath. Or it's more like everything in front of them. It's not too much of a cone. It's more like this. You got to face it away from the raid. It hits for around like 3,500 also. Then there's the 2 lava elementals. They're the ones that look like Gar. They're black. They're like floating. They do a stun, but the stun's debuff makes you take damage. So really, they do a stun plus they do what the other fire ellie does, except instead of it being instant, it's overtime. If you have both if you have 2 of any of those 3 mechanics hit you, actually I guess 4, You could also think the random 3.5Ks, then the frontal fire cone, and then the 2 lava elementals that have their stun fire damage combo. All of these 4 things from each of these 4 separate mobs hit for about 3.5K. So if you get hit by any 2 of the 4, you die. So what do you have to do to ensure that this is fine? You got to face both the lava Ellies away and the big guy. You have to. And the small guy, you can't control what he hits. So if you have the small guy get messed up and any of the other 3, then anyone who gets targeted by the small guy will just die because they'll be down 3.5K and they'll take another 3.5K. And so that'll probably fucking kill you if you're on Horde. If you're on Alliance, maybe you'll live. What about Shaz? How do people screw up Shaz? Ass pulling it. This is the number one way people fuck Shaz up, okay? You'll have like a raid leader that ass pulls the boss, and so then you get behind on the DPS check, the curses start going out, and you start taking a lot of AoE damage. Also, if Shaz is facing towards the raid, he casts like an interrupt, which a lot of people aren't aware of because a lot of you play warriors, and so you might never have been interrupted by Shaz. But yeah, you have to face Shaz away from the raid. Kinda. I mean, you can probably get away without it, but you should do it. Now, there's not really pretty much anything else in the entirety of MC that is a threat. Maybe the Molten Giants or the Destroyers. Here's the thing. With the Destroyers, they do an AoE stun, and so what normally happens is they run up, they get to your tank meets them first, your tank gets stunned, and then they run past the tank, and they end up in raid, and they start causing problems. And then the tank tries to get threat and pull them out of raid. And sometimes that's hard because you can get unlucky. You get stunned, the mob runs away from you, it's in the raid, it stuns the raid, you get to the mob, it stuns you again. Okay, use a free action potion. All right? If you're scared about MC trash, use fucking free action potions on the Destroyers because they have a stun. Cool. If the Giants, they do a knockback, so you might lose threat, but TBH, they don't hit very hard. So it doesn't matter. It's just the Destroyers you might have to worry about a little bit. Then we've covered everything except for the last few bosses. With Harbinger, there's just no chance that you wipe, okay? You just kill the ads first, all right? If you suck at assigning the kicks, it won't matter. You know why? Because the ads rather randomly cast their heal. So as long as all the mobs on Sulfur and Harbinger are taking damage, they will mostly do overhealing, most likely, unless you super evenly spread the DPS, but very unevenly spread the kicks, which probably isn't the case. That'd be kind of a weird situation. Golemag, has anybody ever had a problem on Golemag? Domo, okay. You can have a fucking issue on Domo. All the mobs on Domo, all of them, every single one of them has an AoE. So if you're bad, you just spread them out. And if your tanks suck at polying things, you just kill the casters first. So, I mean, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have one tank grab the 2 warriors on the left, one tank grab the 2 warriors on the right, and they'll just tank them to the sides. And then I'm just going to mark the 4, like literally I'm going to mark all 4 of the casters, just like Skull X, Box, whatever. And I'm going to tell people like kill Skull and X first. And that's it. I'm not even going to have a tank assignment because they don't auto attack for shit. All their damage is from their Shadow Shock, right? So nice and easy. Rag, here's the last one. This fucking triggers me. This is so common in raid groups. So Rag does Sulfur and Smash. I think that's the name of the move, but it's like every 30 seconds, and he goes like, by fire, be purged, and it does a threat drop, and it can knock people back. And what people will do is they'll tell their DPS to run out of melee range when this move is up. I don't fucking know why they do that. What does this move actually do? Okay, this move is weird. It's really, really weird. Now, it's going to do a threat drop, and it's going to knock up to 3 people away. But these 3 people, like this is basically how it works. It selects 3 people in the raid that are eligible to be hit. And then if those people are in range, they get hit. Because if it was always 3, then making the melee run out would mean that all your tanks always get knocked. And I'm sure you've noticed that the tanks don't get knocked 100% of the time. So that proves that part of the mechanic. So if your melee go in, they are risking being knocked away from the boss, thereby reducing their uptime. Or the other risk is that right when threat gets wiped, the melee DPS takes aggro, and then they die. That's a real worry. How do you deal with that? You have the tanks use taunt CDs as soon as the threat drop is about to be ready. So you see there's like 1 or 2 seconds left until the threat drop could potentially be used, because it's not instantly used on CD always. So you have one of your tanks do a mocking. Let's say the threat drop comes late. You have another tank do a mocking. Or you have that same tank do a mocking into an AoE taunt. Whatever. Doesn't matter. That's how you actually resolve the problem of DPS taking aggro for a short period and dying. And what people will fail to realize is if you have people run out of melee range of the boss over and over again, it lowers their uptime. It'll ruin their DPS. Maybe you'll get a fucking submerge phase. This is kind of embarrassing to say, but it's also funny. I have never, ever been in a raid group in Classic WoW, like Classic Era style Classic WoW, where a submerge phase happened and we fucking killed Rag. Because the submerge phase is like harder, honestly, than like any... submerge phase Rag is harder than any other boss in all of fucking Classic WoW by like a huge factor. So chances are, if you remember wiping to Rag in the past and hitting submerge phases, which is what would have wiped you, you should go check those old logs. And what you're probably going to see is that you just barely missed the DPS check, but your raid leader had all the melee doing nothing the whole fight practically. So yeah. Big things. Fucking macro on Lucy. Fear resistance on Magmadar. Gehennas, you should actually have decurses assigned. Gar, use a lot of tanks if you have to. Remember, avoidance is awesome when you have a lot of things hitting you for a little. Baron Geddon, who gives a fuck? Shaz, don't face pull it. Lava packs. Every one of the 4 mobs in a lava pack has a way to hit you for 3.5 thousand. 3.5 thousand times 2 is 7,000. That'll kill most people. So that's why you gotta have a lot of respect for all the mobs in a fire pack. Domo, you just don't want to have every single mob hitting you at the same time because every single one of the mobs, all 9 of them on Domo, have AoE damage. Resolve that problem by spreading out the positions of things. Or, if you don't want to spread the positions of things out, you can use CC. Doesn't matter either way. And when you're on Ragnaros, if your raid leader tells you to run out for the Sulfuran Smash, you should do it and then argue with them afterwards because it's a stupid fucking idea in every single version of the game. If you're looking for a raid group that's going to be real serious, but only raid 1 day a week and not have mandatory ults or any of that really weird shit like PTRing, hit me up in Discord. We're going to be raiding at 2 p.m. Eastern, Saturdays, North America Alliance. I think I mentioned all the things. Yes. And we're going to be going for really big parses and really quick speed runs. It'll be a lot of fun. 1 day a week. You'll need to have, full world buffs and consumes. And you'll need to put I don't want to say an insane amount of effort into your prebis. If you don't have the epic chain chest from BRD, I'm not going to care that much. But you do have to bring your A game every week and not have a shitty attitude. So yeah, hit me up in Discord. I need kind of everything except rogues and hunters, but if you play like a rogue or hunter, you can still hit me up. I just can't guarantee you'll be in the main raid. We'll probably have a few raids.